Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Heart of Markness podcast. I am Mark and I am glad you're here. This episode we are going to explore the XYZ sessions, or if you're British or Canadian, XYZ, or maybe Australian, I don't know. Anyways, you know what I mean. Nobody's lost if I say Z. The XYZ sessions, which feature Jimmy Page, Chris Squire, and Alan White. Now, Chris Squire and Alan White were the bass player and drummer for the band Yes, and Jimmy Page is, of course, the tambourine player for the Mamas and the Papas. So, the year is 1981. Actually, let's dial that back. Let's go to Christmas 1980. Now, on December 4th, 1980, Led Zeppelin officially dissolved as a band. They released a statement saying that with the death of John Bonham, they could no longer carry on as they were. Completely understandable and honorable and great. Now, at a Christmas party, Jimmy Page and Chris Squire met up because Chris Squire lived very, very close. They're neighbors to Jimmy Page, or they were at the time. I think he may have just lived across the street from him, actually. So they were at a party together, a Christmas party, and Yes had kind of just fallen apart too. They had released the album Drama, which featured Trevor Horn, who was the singer for the band The Buggles. You know, video killed the radio star. That dude with the glasses, that's him. He was the singer for Yes for an album. And the keyboard player from The Buggles, same band, was also the keyboard player for Yes for the album Drama. Didn't work well with the fans. I guess it wasn't a big hit. I certainly had never heard songs off the album, but the album itself is fine. And the tour itself, from what I've heard, is good. But Yes kind of dissolved or went on hiatus at the termination of that tour. And Trevor Horn was no longer the singer, but he did become the producer who produced their Yes's big comeback album 90125, which everybody who's lived through the 80s knew that for like 2 years solid, it was nothing but Yes on the radio and on MTV, and almost every song off that album was its own hit. And the album was impeccably produced because Trevor Horn, although he may not be the most charismatic frontman, is a hell of a producer. He's also the mind behind Art of Noise, if you remember that. Same dude. And the keyboard player, Jeff Downs, who was, again, from the Buggles, played keyboards for Yes, and in fact, I think he's playing keyboards for Yes now, kind of. I don't know. Also went to join the band Asia with Steve Howe. So, the whole big prog rock incestuous clusterfuck, I guess. But anyway, all that fell apart. And basically, Chris Squire and Jimmy Page are at a Christmas party in 1980 chatting about how neither one of them have the giant, humongous, earth-shattering, world-famous bands that they'd had. And Jimmy tells Chris, listen, I really want to start playing again. I want to get out and do something and, occupy myself. And the reasons for that are completely understandable. It's been established that he was deep, deep, deep in the grips of some hard addictions. There's heroin, alcohol, cocaine, the rock star thing. If you've listened to my podcast or any live Led Zeppelin from 1977 onward, you know this. So Jimmy wanted to occupy himself, but there was also some financial reasons for that. Just before John Bonham died, I believe it was in 1980 or late 1979, Jimmy Page bought the Saul Studios. Well, I think he named it the Saul Studios. Anyways, he bought a home studio, which was formerly Elton John's, and it was one of the most advanced studios in the world at the time. And it was going to be where Zeppelin was going to, it was going to be Jimmy's beat laboratory in a way. But unfortunately, the only albums that got recorded there were Coda, which was a sad, sad, sad time of, Jonesy and Robert Plant and Jimmy would come in and do some recording for songs that already existed and some sweetening, but it was a sad affair. So Jimmy had this studio, which he had paid, according to Stuart Epp, the engineer, like 3 million pounds, something ridiculous, millions and millions of dollars. And Jimmy had also just bought a house from the actor Michael Caine at the same time. So Jimmy had spent millions and millions of dollars on this thing. Yay, I'm going to have a studio. We're going to record here. It's going to be great. John Bonham dies. The band falls apart. Everything falls to shit. Jimmy's got 2 mortgages and a studio and no band. So he meets Chris Squire, and they decide to do something about that. Chris wants to do something as well because, Chris is kind of holding his dick too. So they go into the studio together, and when they did this is a matter of great debate from what I can tell. Jimmy Page himself says it was on the 4th of January, 1980. Chris Squire has said that it was a series of sessions that were very, very stony because there were a lot of people on substances. He's also said it was a very tight and surprisingly professional series of sessions. Stuart Epp, the guy that actually ran the boards and recorded the band, said it was a solid week of very professional recording. Now, it could have been in January, it could have been in April, or it could have been in October. I've read all kinds of things. Let's say April. Actually, no, let's not. That's stupid. If they met at a Christmas party, which is not disputed, and said, hey, let's get together, they wouldn't say, hey, all right, I'll see you in 4.5 months. They'd say, no, let's go to my studio, which is down the road and empty, and record some shit after New Year. So I believe they got together in January of 1981. And they had songs, Chris and Alan had songs already. And they played them for Jimmy, and Jimmy was like, I can add some shit to this. We can work together. And they put together, I've read that there are 6 or 7 songs that they worked on. All that I've heard and all that eventually got leaked on the bootleg market are 4 tracks, which the best quality that I've heard still sound pretty muddy. It sounds like a copy of a cassette, which is a copy of a cassette of a copy of a cassette, and then somebody just, put on Dolby noise reduction and cut out all the hiss, and it's not dynamic at all. But it is a professional studio recording, and it's some good shit. And all 4 songs that are released have been released by the people in the band. One of them was released by The Firm under the name Fortune Hunter, and the other 3 were released over the years by Yes. So they really mined some gold, and it's an interesting period of time because you would not think of Jimmy Page and Chris Squire having a lot of overlap. Chris is not a big blues bass rock bassist. He's a progressive bass god who is not known for noodling around. I remember reading a book in high school about how he would take all day just plucking his bass to try and get the perfect tone to get things going. And Jimmy is a lot more, let's shake up the can and open it and see what happens. So what we have is a group of musicians without a band coming together to record some songs. This was not going to be the start of a huge new project necessarily. This was not going to be a pen on paper, sign the contract, supergroup. It was literally, hey, let's work together and see what happens. And they put together some really good stuff. Jimmy was really on point and tight on this. It's again, obviously, the Telecaster, the B-Bender, but he's not burying his sound in effects like he did with the Firm, which is one of the reasons I don't care for them that much. Jimmy, hid his sloppy playing with effects pedals, chorus and flange, which also hid his awesome playing too. Whereas this is not the case in the XYZ sessions. He's playing really tight, really strong, really interesting, and really outside his wheelhouse. It shows what a technically brilliant player he was and what a true musical professional he was. This and the Death Wish 2 sessions as well. So we have Chris Squire, Alan White, and Jimmy Page going into Saul Studios. And Stuart Epp, who was the engineer there, who engineered all Elton John stuff, as we said before, said it was, quote, a week of sessions. It was mad. Now, I can kind of believe that it was a very solid week of recording, because the 4 tracks that I'm hearing, they could be totally done in a week. My understanding is some of these already existed in some form or another. Some were reworked, and basically none of this is lightning in a bottle. Nothing here is going to blow you away. And I'm also hesitant to, actually not hesitant. I'm not going to post complete songs. I'm not going to play complete songs in this because it's I have a weird feeling. This is studio stuff. This is not a live recording made by a fan at a concert. This is a copy of a copy of a copy of a tape that was stolen from Jimmy Page or Chris Squire or Alan White or, however. This is not, it's different. So I feel weird playing the whole song, but it's okay because you can find them on YouTube. I'll put links down there, just like the Arms concert stuff. They're everywhere. If you want to hear all these songs, you can hear them on YouTube. If you want to download these songs, you can download them anywhere that you download songs. This is just an overview. It's not going to be a 45-minute podcast, I hope, because this is it's a much tighter beam. It's not the Arms tour. There was a lot to talk about with the Arms tour. Even that Copenhagen show from episode 1, which if you haven't heard that, listen to episode 1. That Copenhagen show is fucking incredible. From 1979, it's really, really worth it. But the XYZ project, it was a very short blip. It didn't pan out, but it was very, very, very interesting. So we have 4 songs that were recorded. The first of which ultimately was released by the band Yes on the Keys to Ascension 2 album. And if you haven't heard of that album, don't be surprised, because it's not one of the albums that you grew up with. It's one of the latter day, like 21st century or late 90s Yes albums. And the song is called Mind Drive. And I find it fascinating that everything used in the XYZ sessions was eventually released. It shows the economy, and it shows how these tapes are like a sketchbook, or like a journal for ideas, and that even decades later, the artist can go back and go, oh yeah, that was a good little lick, that was a good little song. Let's expand upon that. And it's interesting to hear Steve Howe play Jimmy Page's part, or vice versa. And in fact, somebody had made an excellent mashup of some of the XYZ tapes and some of the Yes stuff mixed together into a single piece. And because it is official released stuff, I can't share it with you, but it's really interesting. So I am babbling, I am talking, I am wasting time. So let's give a listen to Mind Drive. We're going to play a little bit of that, so you can just get a taste for what you're in for. All right? Brace yourself. What'd you think? Kind of neat, huh? Now, the interesting thing about these sessions is, according to Chris Squire, Robert Plant, it was hoped that this would be something that would draw Robert Plant back in because it's interesting, it's quirky, it's not Led Zeppelin, it's not blues based, it's not the same old thing. But Robert was not interested. Truthfully, I can't see. He was done with Zeppelin. He was done. He was done with Zeppelin. He was done with all of that. And I am glad he came back because had Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, Chris Squire, and Alan White came out with a band, it would have been one album. It would have been no. At least that's my opinion. But so that's Mind Drive. The second track that they did was Fortune Hunter. Well, that's not what they called it. I don't know what they called it. Probably track 2. But Fortune Hunter was released as the opening track on the second Firm album called Mean Business. And you can hear it from the start. It's very, very good. And it's almost complete. Every idea from the XYZ track translates over to the Firm track. So let's give a little listen to Fortune Hunter, and let me see what you think. See, isn't it weird to hear something like that with an entirely different band? It's neat. It's a really neat thing. I like Jimmy's playing on that. I like the sound of it better than the Firm's actually. Although Paul Rodgers was great on that track. Now our third track from these sessions is called "Can You See," and it's Chris Squire sings it, and it totally doesn't do it for me. It seems just a little too slow, and there's a reason why Chris Squire was not a lead singer, although he's an excellent backup singer, harmonic singer, and not a bad singer at all, but just holy shit. I can hear John Anderson singing this on 90125 in a different reality. I could see this being moved onto 90125 and Trevor Horn doing some cool shit with it. I would speed it up a little bit and make it a little peppier, but this track came out in 2001 on the album Magnification as the song Can You Imagine. So this song is a complete song with overdubs, solos, vocals, everything else. The first two were more demos, jamming, and rhythm tracks, and this is the first complete start-to-finish song that we have from the sessions. Can You See? Give it a listen. Kind of interesting, huh? But would you see what I mean about Chris Squire singing it? He's not the guy to sing that song. I don't know who would be. John Anderson, I guess, would do a good job at that. But definitely, I can't see Robert singing that song. Lastly, we have Telephone Secrets. This is another one that Chris Squire sings. It's another complete song. And it's another song I can hear John Anderson singing with a little bit more pep and a little bit more bounce. I could also see it being at home on 90125. And this song actually appears on the deluxe edition of Drama as a bonus track, as song number 4, parentheses, Satellite. This is kind of neat. I kind of like this. I like the XYZ version better, actually. The Yes version, although Steve Howe's playing some really cool stuff, it just doesn't gel for me as much. This is the song that had the mix-up between, the mashup rather, between the XYZ version of the song which we just heard and the official version which was released on Drama. And that is pretty tight. But you've heard everything now. You've got all the released XYZ stuff. There's no more of which I'm aware. I mean, I think there's more in the can, but nothing that's been released professionally, or not professionally, illicitly. In the last couple years, Jimmy Page has commented on it and says he still has the multi-tracks and could definitely see doing a project with them someday. I don't know how the death of Chris Squire impacts that, whether that makes that easier or harder. But, I would surely love to hear some sort of anthology of, post-Zeppelin Jimmy material. Because, starting with XYZ and, essentially ending with the Firm, there was a real big flurry of activity on Jimmy's part as he was trying to get his feet under him after years and years of addiction and then the loss of his band and his writing partner and all this madness. So we have the XYZ sessions. That's what it was. They recorded these songs and they tried to get Robert Plant involved. It did not really happen. And, it kind of got put on a back burner. And then Yes reconvened and started recording 90125. And Jimmy went out. Jimmy went from this project to the Death Wish 2 project, and then from there to the Arms concert, which got him going. And then in 1984, Jimmy was a very, 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 very busy man, which I think may be the subject of my next podcast, is just Jimmy in 1984. We have The Firm. We have the album with Roy Harper, the tour with Roy Harper. We have the Alexis Corner Blues Band Jam with Jack Bruce. We have the Pistoia, Italy Blues Festival with Jimmy Page. Not with Jimmy Page, of course Jimmy Page, with Ginger Baker. There's our boy was busy in 1984, so I think that may be what we explore next time. Or I may just go back and do a Zeppelin show. That's really awesome, because this is really, really the deep ephemera of Jimmy Page, and I don't want to bore people. But this is it. this is the XYZ sessions. There's not a lot to it. I wish I had more to share with you, but this is what I've got. I hope you like it. Check out theheartofmarkness.com for links to the complete songs. There's also some sources for where I got my information. I don't pull it all out of my ass. And leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you like this kind of deep Jimmy Page stuff, or if you want to hear more Zeppelin, or I don't know. Tell me why The Firm is the best band in the world, and I will tell you why they are not. So thank you very much, and I'll talk to you next time. Oh, you can also reach me at mark@heartofdarkness.com if you want to email me and not comment. Thank you very much. See you later.